Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Titus Grenyer, and I'm the organist here for the City of Sydney. It's my great pleasure today to welcome you to Young Organist Day. On behalf of the city, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to elders both past and present. Today, you will hear from 13 young organists of Sydney. All of them have been learning the organ just for a few years, yet they have already great dreams for their futures, and as you'll hear today, they are already playing at a very high standard. The performers come from a variety of different Sydney schools, as well as one student from Melbourne. Some participated and were prize winners in this year's Sydney Organ Competition, which was held in October. Without further ado, we're going to start with our first performer, Tim Lee. Please welcome Tim to the stage. Tim has been learning the organ for 2 years. He practices on his own Hauptwerk organ, which he MIDI converted out of an old organ shell. He's currently serving as the senior organ scholar at Our Lady of Dolores Catholic Church in Chatswood and says he enjoys the organ for its versatility. He fondly remembers playing at last year's Young Organist Day. Tim is currently completing a Bachelor of Music majoring in the violin at Sydney Conservatorium of Music, but he promises that he will continue to be playing the organ on the side. Tim also launched his very own chamber orchestra this year, which he hopes to expand next year, and I can vouch that they're very good. Today, Tim will be playing the Coronation March by Kristina Rizzotto. Well done, Tim. I'd now like to invite Arien He to the stage. Please welcome Arien. Arien began learning the organ at the start of 2020. She usually practices at home on a virtual organ, but occasionally at the Verbruggen Hall at Sydney Conservatorium. Arien has played at St Swithin's Pymble on a casual basis and St John's Wahroonga for a few months earlier this year. She says that playing the organ is a welcome change from playing the piano for so long, and she enjoys the variety of opportunities it presents, such as more interesting repertoire. Earlier this year, she enjoyed playing on the Opera House organ for the masterclass with Olivier Latry. Next year, she hopes to study at the University of Sydney, all the while continuing her organ playing on a more casual basis at local churches. Today, Arien will play J.S. Bach's Toccata in C major. Thank you, Orion. I'd now like to invite Cynthia Bui to the stage. Please welcome Cynthia. Cynthia studies organ at the Rising Stars program at the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. She began learning the organ because the one at her church was looking a little lonely. She was encouraged to start playing by her piano teacher. She now practices nearly every day on her Hauptwerk organ at home and studies with Philip Swanton. Cynthia currently plays at St. Joseph's Church in Newtown and helps out at her local church at St. Felix's in Bankstown. She wants to inspire more young people to learn the organ, as it's far too special to keep its magic to only a small amount of people. She says that when she plays the organ, she can communicate with others without speaking, letting the music convey what words often cannot. A recent highlight for her was playing earlier this month here at her school's speech night, where she accompanied an arrangement of a hymn with full orchestra and choir. The power and richness of the music created a truly unforgettable atmosphere. When performing, she saw the looks of pure amazement on the faces of people who had never heard an organ before. So it's a real privilege to play this instrument. So today, Cynthia will be playing Prelude Fugue in G minor by Marcel Dupré. Well done, Cynthia, that's not easy to play. And on a historical note, the composer of that piece, Dupré, once actually gave a recital here himself in 1939. The next performer is Tristan Sumarna. Please welcome him to the stage. Tristan comes to us today from Melbourne, where he has held organ scholarships at Richmond Uniting Church and St Mary Star of the Sea. Both churches have Fincham organs, which are in the English symphonic style, not so different from the organ here. Tristan enjoys that the organ is a multidisciplinary instrument, taking in all facets of music, history, and faith. He enjoys the challenge of combining everything together, from technique to orchestration and registration to improvisation, and learning about its magnificent history. He also finds it very easy to express his musicality on the instrument and aims to further his studies through a postgraduate degree in organ overseas. Outside of the organ, Tristan plays the cello, clarinet, and has completed a Bachelor of Music in piano. Furthermore, he now works as an operational meteorologist for the Bureau of Meteorology in Sydney, which is where he helps to forecast our weather, hopefully more predictable than Melbourne's. Now that he is moving to Sydney, I'm sure we'll actually get to hear more of Tristan's organ playing around the city. Today, he'll be playing the Pastorale from Organ Sonata No. 1 by Gilmour. I'd now like to invite Jerry Yu to the stage. Welcome, Jerry. Jerry learns the organ at Sydney Grammar School, playing in the big school. He also plays the piano and clarinet, but enjoys the organ for the combination of timbre that is possible, from the very dense to the very thin textures, and he also loves playing the pedals. Jerry hopes to have someday a church organist job to keep the progress going and to help with his improvisation skills. Recently, he was pleased to have attended the masterclass with Olivier Latry at the Opera House. Outside of music, Jerry enjoys literature, especially of the modernist variety. Jerry will play Piece Heroique by César Franck. Well done, Jerry. Next we have Ethan. Welcome Ethan to the stage. He's just getting his music. Ethan learns at Sydney Grammar School as well, also playing on the organ in the big school. He has learned with Dr. Kun von Stade since the start of 2023 and continues to also play the piano and the violin. Ethan enjoys playing the organ because of the grand and complex nature of the instrument. He likes the wide variety of tone colors that can be created as opposed to the piano. He likes how each organ is unique and enjoys visiting different organs. He hopes to play more around the world in the future and develop his organ playing with more complex pieces, especially of Bach, which he listens to regularly. He enjoyed playing on the new St. James organ last month and at Sydney University Great Hall earlier in the year. He also enjoyed listening to the performance of Saint-Saëns' Organ Symphony at the Opera House. Outside of music, Ethan is interested in mathematics and solving Olympiad problems and has a hobby in collecting and writing with fountain pens. Today, Ethan will be playing Master Tallis' Testament by Herbert Howells. Well done, Ethan. Our next performer is Savas Sumarna. Savas plays on the neoclassical German Smenger organ at Newington College Chapel, which is where he also goes to school. Savas is also the combined organist, music director, and choir master at St. Joachim's in Lidcombe. He says that the organ is truly the king of instruments, the highest instrument of the liturgy, and the most versatile instrument in existence. A lover particularly of historical music, Savas hopes to get a degree in historical performance at the Conservatorium of Music, and then to go to Europe and study early music in Basel, Switzerland. Outside of the organ, he enjoys studying theology, Latin, and history. A recent highlight was, as many other organ students did here, take the masterclass with Olivia Latry at the Sydney Opera House. Today, Savas will be playing his own composition, Preludium in G-moll. Well done. And for those who are aware, I run a YouTube channel called Pep Organ. Earlier this year, I held a composition competition, and that was actually the winning entry for that piece. So congratulations, Savas, for writing that piece as well. Next, I'd like to welcome John Paul Fung to the stage. Welcome, John Paul. John Paul has been playing the organ for 2 years and is a recipient of the Richard and Doreen Wilson Organ Scholarship at the Sydney Conservatorium. He practices on a classic virtual pipe organ at home and has already achieved his Amos A and Elmas A. He plays on Sunday evening masses at St John's College within the University of Sydney and other special events. During semester time, he also plays, that's during semester time. Then he also plays monthly for the Fraternity of St. Peter in Blacktown and occasionally for weddings around the city. He says he enjoys pulling out all the stops on the organ and making big bangs. He hopes to play some of the great organs around the world someday, other than this one, of course. John Paul also plays the piano, violin, recorder, and is a singer. He enjoys recording and editing music, drawing, painting, playing tennis, and playing with a little camera. Today, John Paul will be performing Moto Ostinato by Peter Eben. Well done, John Paul. I'd now like to invite James Bui to the stage. James has been learning on the Mander organ at Sydney Grammar School since 2019 and on the new Dobson organ at St James King Street since its installation earlier this year, which is where he also serves as organ scholar. James has been fortunate to play more than 20 organs so far, some in Sydney and others overseas. He loves playing the organ for its sheer range, power, and immensity. There is no other acoustic instrument that can produce such a variety of tone colors or dynamics, and the rush of adrenaline from a full tutti is an incredible feeling. In the near future, James hopes to study music overseas, eventually working as a professional composer and performer. Outside of music, James is very interested in science, poetry, and art. In fact, he has just finished a large oil painting commission. He's also very interested in animals and nature, going camping and on bushwalks with his family. Today, James will play Elegy by George Thalben Ball. Well done, James. Next, our performer is Joseph Fung. Please welcome Joseph. Well, earlier you heard his younger brother perform, and just like his brother John Paul, Joseph has been playing the organ for 2 years as a recipient of the Richard and Doreen Wilson Organ Scholarship at Sydney Conservatorium. Joseph plays organ at Maternal Heart of Mary Parish in Lewisham on Sundays and for special feast days. He also plays for Sunday evening masses and other special events at the University of Sydney's St John's College and for weddings all over Sydney. He says that the organ is a brilliant instrument capable of infinite variety of colour and great diversity of sound. He would like to travel the world to play great organs, especially those in France. He particularly enjoyed playing for Young Organist Day here last year, and I'm sure he'll enjoy this time just as much. Joseph has an interest in languages, history, philosophy, theology, and literature, and today he'll be performing Toccata in D minor by Max Reger. Thank you, Joseph. I'd now like to invite to the stage Isabel Lee and Enoch Pan. Well, no doubt you would have seen through this concert that playing the organ is often not just a one-person job. There's often assistants helping and also page-turning for the organists who are performing. But today, Isabel and Enoch will be playing together a duet. So this is the Brandenburg Concerto No. 1 in F major, arranged by Chris Czerwinski. Isabel has been learning organ for 4 years, and Enoch for 3. They both study and are organ scholars at St. Albans Church in Epping. Isabel says that she loves playing with her feet and hands and loves the challenge and the fun of coordinating that. And Enoch says that the organ is simply more of everything compared to the piano. More stops, more keyboards, and of course the pedal board. Isabel and Enoch both hope to be professional musicians someday. And for Enoch, he really enjoyed earlier this year competing in the Sydney Organ Competition, while Isabel managed to organize her very own concert at Barker College with the assistance of her teacher, Chris. So now, they're going to play Brandenburg Concerto by J.S. Bach. Very well done, Enoch and Isabel. Well, we come to the final piece in our program today. Please welcome to the stage Kian Chan. Kian began learning piano and violin from a very young age and began taking lessons in harpsichord and organ from 2021, studying through the Conservatorium Rising Stars program. He also completed an A.M.S.A. and L.M.S.A. diploma in 2023 with distinction, and was the Dux and school captain at Conservatorium High School. Kian helps play for church services at St. Luke's in Concord, Burwood, and especially enjoyed playing Christmas carols there recently with everyone singing along. Kian says, "The organ is a bastion of never-ending thrill and intimacy. The sheer power and subtlety that the instrument can produce always amazes me. Also, it is a huge challenge of coordination which pushes me to my limits." While Kian will be studying law and arts at Sydney University next year, he says that music will never leave his heart and he'll continue to accompany, teach, and perform for others. Today he'll be performing the Toccata from Suite, Opus number 5 by Duruflé. Well done, Kian. And can we get all the performers from Young Organist Day onto the stage? Give them a round of applause. Take it back. Well as the young organists, we also need to thank those who contributed so much to making them who they are today. are their teachers and their parents. So could we please thank the teachers and parents of these students? We had so many contributors this year, especially teachers. We had Jennifer Chou, Tris Kowinski, Kurt Eisen, Kun von Stader, Philip Swanton, and Bob Wagner. Could they all stand up, please? Teachers? So they really do extraordinary work. I want to make special mention now to Philip Swanton. Philip, could you please stand? Philip has been teaching young organists for more than 30 years, ever since he returned from his studies in Basel in Switzerland. The bulk of his teaching has been as an organ teacher at Sydney Conservatorium at the undergraduate and postgraduate level, as well as with the Rising Stars program. In that time, there's been a nearly constant presence of his students at each Young Organist Day. And yes, he was also my teacher, and I wouldn't be here today as city organist without his training and expertise. But unfortunately, Philip retired from his teaching at the end of this year, so his legacy is dozens of fine organists around the world playing in major venues and churches around the world. So a round of applause for Philip. And yes, if parents, you would like to now get a photograph, now would be the best time. But one final applause to the young organists for today. And of course, thank you to the city for making this event possible, and also to the star of the show, which is of course the grand organ. On the back of your programs, you'll see that there's a number of recitals coming up next year. One quite soon in January, which is featuring Jennifer Chou from Melbourne performing on this organ. And then there'll be a few others, and you can see the theming of those concerts in the program. But for now, if you'd like to have a look at the grand organ, I'd now like to invite members of the audience to come up onto the stage. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you next year.